What'd you do with the kayak, by the way?
The kayak I had to sell in order to put food on my table.
Exactly what I thought he did.
So you sold her a kayak. Let me ask you a question. How much did you sell her a kayak for?
$150.
You know that's not your kayak. How do you go around selling her kayak?
This is the plaintiff, Chris Chryselius. She says the defendant has some of her valuable tools, and the louse won't give them back. He has no right holding her property hostage, and she's here in the name of justice, suing him for the $1,676.70 she's owed. This is the defendant, Stephen Dell Jr. He says he and the plaintiff have been friends for over 20 years, and she owes him money on some handyman work he did. She refuses to pay him, and until she does, her tools are in a nice, safe place. He's accused of stealing. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $4,728 for unpaid work and pain and suffering.
All parties, please hit your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Chryselius, you are suing Mr. Dell for a series of tools and kayak that you left in his possession that you now want back, that he's refusing to return. And he is counterclaiming against you for paychecks that you have in your possession that you're refusing to give him. You two knew each other and were good friends before this, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so what happened?
So he moved in with me. He borrowed my personal property to do some handyman work, not just on my properties, but on other people's properties. Him and I, in July of this year, some information came my way that he was bad-mouthing me to my clients. I'm a realtor and a property manager, and my clients brought to my attention that he was accusing me of stealing from my clients, and that was totally false. And so then at that point, I decided to terminate our friendship and to terminate any further work with me, and requested my property to be returned in July of this year.
Well, let me ask you, when you say any further work with you, were you hiring him to do work on clients' houses?
Yes, on my rental properties, as well as referring him out to other clients and people.
How often were you hiring him?
Whenever I had a job, whether it be a service call
No, but
or
is that
a
once a month or once a week? Like, I'm just trying to get a feel for it. How often were you giving him business that he would be this stupid to trash you to other people?
It was quite a bit. And not only that, but I have 5 agents and my broker of my entire real estate firm that was using him. And we all just cut ties with him because he was not doing the right thing. Not just
Okay,
with
so
this,
what
but
happens?
not showing up on jobs and stuff like that with clients.
What did you? Yeah, but it was this. This was the problem, though, wasn't it? When it got back to you that he was bad mouthing you. So how did you break to him that, listen, we have a problem and I want all of the tools I loaned you back?
I tried to call him. He refused to take my calls. I text messaged him. I Facebooked him. I have messages from him saying, I'm going to bring it back. I'll be there this Friday. I'm going to bring your stuff. I have this. Can we exchange it for money? All of it. But the problem,
why exchange it for money? Because you had, just a second, why exchange it for money? You have apparently some paychecks of his that you refuse to give him.
I have some contract work checks from my brokerage that, because he used my property on the jobs, I told him when he dropped it off, he could sign the checks, he could have the checks. I have the checks here ready for him. It's two different, that's coming from my brokerage,
what's going
not me
on?
Personally.
What's happening, Mr. Dell? What's your version of what's happening?
Okay, so like she said, we were friends for a very long time, and we did discuss the exchange of the property. And the issue is that the items that she has, or that I borrowed or was using on her projects, are larger than I can fit into my car at this point. I had a truck, it broke down, I needed money to fix it. I asked for I asked for the money that she owed me so that I could at least fix it or at least rent a truck to get her items to her. That never happened. So there was many times that she'd pay me through Zelle, Venmo, other forms of payments as well. Like rather than just going to her house and just picking it up, I was unable
Yeah,
to
but it's
deliver
from
these
the brokerage
products.
firm. She's not going to sell it from her personal account to you. And, you know, you got to get out of
done
your
that
own
many
way. You're a
times.
handyman. You can't I don't care. You can't figure out how to get back a pressure washer to someone's house because any vehicle transportation will do it. You don't need a big U-Haul truck, which you can rent for $19.99. So none of what you're saying makes any sense to me. Seriously. It doesn't. You
Well,
know,
it's a
you could have
kayak.
returned the stuff.
It's a kayak and a 22-foot ladder.
Oh, what'd you do with the kayak? What'd you do with the kayak, by the way?
The kayak I had to sell in order to put food on my table.
Exactly what I thought he did.
So you sold her a kayak. Let me ask you a question. How much did you sell her a kayak for?
$150.
You know that's not your kayak. How do you go around selling her kayak? Did you know he sold your kayak, Ms. Crecilius?
Did not.
Are you learning this?
Suspected it. I suspected it. I suspected.
What's he doing with
sold
your
the tools.
kayak? Why does he have your kayak?
Because we actually used to go kayaking together, and it was easier
So what?
for him.
Why
He'd
don't you
throw it
have
on
your kayak?
The last time we went kayaking, he took it to his house, and that was the last I saw of it.
She had asked me to take it because she did not have the room where she used to keep it.
That sounds more credible. Right.
I have a 4-bedroom house. I have plenty of room.
Well, then why does he have your
room in
kayak?
your
Like other people
garage.
don't have my kayaks. I have my kayak. I'm wondering why a Floridian there's only one reason a Floridian has someone else with their kayak, and that's because they don't have room or that someone else lives on the water, so it's really easy to launch. Those are the only two reasons. Do you live on the water, Mr. Dell?
No.
No,
Okay,
but
so
I used
why
to
does he have
strap
your
it to my
kayak?
truck.
Why does he have
and
your
I used to
pressure
transport
cleaner?
it.
Now you got, what happened with the truck? Why didn't you just use that same truck to bring back her pressure cleaner and the kayak?
As I stated earlier, that truck, it had recently broke down, and I can't use that.
From
And
when
the money
to when
that
was your truck broken down?
oh gosh,
What are you doing now? Just flapping in the wind? You don't have anything to do? Like, you don't have a working vehicle, so you can't work. So what are you doing? How are you surviving? How are you putting food on your table now that the kayak
I do have a
sold?
car. I do have a car,
Okay.
and the few clients
So
that
if you
I
have a
do
car,
have that
what
are
kind
not
of car do
related
you
to her,
have? What kind of a
I have
car
a
do you have?
Camaro.
Okay. So she's complaining that you have her pressure washer. Does it fit in the Camaro?
That's how he picked
It
it
could,
up.
but it's actually really, it's difficult, and it actually is, it ruins, every time you put it in or take it out, it's destroying the fabric of my car. So,
How many times have you put it in and out of your car? Why don't you just put plastic down and return her
to take it
pressure
to the
cleaner?
job.
Why don't we be frank with each other? She fired you not because you're late to jobs, but because you trashed her. And you refused to give her stuff because she's now holding your paycheck hostage. Have I got it? Because I don't think it has anything to do with anything else. It's not the dog ate my homework. It's not I can't figure out how to get the pressure cleaner to her. It's not my truck's not working. Because if you guys had done that, I wouldn't be here, right? But you don't trust her and she doesn't trust you. All over you trashing her one night. Tell me about that. What is it that got said? Because according to her, she's responsible for getting you a bunch of business. So tell me what it was that got said that caused this friendship to go into the toilet.
Okay, so her and one of her realtors were at odds, and there was a conversation had because she wanted to sell this house that she was managing for rentals for this for the owner, and the issue came up where there was work that was supposed to be done at the house that he paid her to do, and he asked me if I did those jobs, and I said no. Then he was asking why weren't they done if I already paid her to do it, and there was a whole conversation had between the three people, the homeowner, another realtor that was in the process of selling the house, and that realtor, rather than getting mixed up in the drama, went back and told her that that conversation was had.
Well, what
So
did
this
you
is
say that
not
made her so
defamation.
mad? I mean, it cost a friendship. No. Answer the question. What was it
Sure.
you said, or what was it they told her you said that caused such a brouhaha? What was
frankly,
it
I
they
don't know
told
it-
her you said?
Frankly,
All right,
I
you
don't
tell me,
know
Ms.
what exactly-
Crecilius. What was it they told you he said?
He said that I was taking invoices and swapping them out and paying the cheaper invoice and keeping the difference in the money, when in actuality, this client paid all his own invoices. The money did not come through me. He paid them himself. So he knew it was a flat out lie. And that's why he called me and told me this situation. And I tried to confront Stephen immediately when I heard that, and he wouldn't take my calls.
Okay. All right.
So,
Well, what have you got? You've got her pressure cleaner, right, Mr. Dell?
correct,
You have her ladder.
correct.
Okay. The power tool set. What kind of power tool set was it, and what happened to that?
The power tool set was loaned out to me to do some of her projects, and after about a year of doing the projects, the tool set battery charger stopped working.
So
they
I
couldn't
have a
because they
question
no
for you, Ms.
longer carried that
Crecilius. What
product.
happened with the power tool set?
He basically used the tools until they no longer worked.
Where are those power tools now? Did you get rid of them?
Yeah, they were gotten rid of.
How did you get rid of them?
Probably they were thrown away or whatever. They were just of no use. They
What's
didn't
whatever?
no
Did
longer
you
make
sell
a
'em?
charger. No, I did not sell them. They were thrown away.
Do you have the dryer lint cleaner?
Yes.
You sold the kayak, we went over that. And the defamation of character is the stuff that we've already gone over, the conversation of that night. Do you have any proof of that, of what was actually said? Do you have a statement by the person who heard it or anything like that? Do you have them as a witness here today?
I do not.
Okay, so let me hear from you on you wanted to respond to that, and then we'll talk about your counterclaim. Go ahead, Mr. Dell.
Okay. I'm heartbroken over this whole situation because Chris is in my heart still a dear friend to me, and I did not want this to happen at all. I really didn't. The kayak I sold for, to put food on my table. At some point I was in my mind thinking I was going to replace it and give it back to her or whatever. That didn't happen. Feelings got involved. We got mad. We've had our ups and downs.
It sounds to me like something really bad happened that day or night that was preventable by not saying things that were said, because you bit the hand that fed you really, really hard, it sounds like.
I'm not the only person that has things to say about Chris, and there's a lot of, people having adult conversations about Chris, and unfortunately, it did come back to her. We're not all happy about how she handles her stuff. I mean, for one of her units, I'm the person that they call every time they have a problem. They don't call Chris because Chris doesn't answer. I was their go-to person, and I helped her out a lot more than just going and turning a wrench. A lot more. I have, messages from one of her clients where she was charging her for destroying the blinds, when I know, in fact, that the blinds were already destroyed when she moved in. And it's things like that that just built up and built up. And I know for a fact, she's already been reported, this lady that I had contact with, to, the Realtor Commission or whatever it is. So it's not just me, and I love Chris, but, I'm not going to lie for her. I'm not going to fake it. If it ruins our friendship, so be it. But I'm not going to be a fake person. I'm going to have these conversations with people, and there's no way around it.
Right, and I cannot imagine how fortunate you are, Ms. Crecilius, that he has not filed his own complaint with the administrative board that regulates you for keeping 2 paychecks over a personal matter. If that's work he did, and we know it is because you have these checks in your possession from your brokerage firm, and you know they're his, how dare you keep them? Because you have a personal problem with him, with your personal stuff with him. How is it that no one's mad at you for that? I don't get it, because that's pretty bad. That's pretty unprofessional. Because at different parts of this trial, he's been tearing up. A moment ago, I think that you were tearing up. And I don't know, maybe you guys have 1,000 friends you've known for 20 years, or maybe you don't. How did it get this bad? How did it get this bad, Ms. Crecilius? Like, how did it get that people couldn't just apologize for saying things they shouldn't have said at that moment in anger, and accepting apologies, and maybe not having business dealings again, but at least calmly trading each other's checks and properties so that you wouldn't end up in litigation?
There was no apologies. There was no admitting fault, because he's right. He's always right in what he's saying about me, because he did it a lot, where he talked about me behind my back to clients, to other realtors, And I don't need that kind of drama and challenging my ethics in my life. I don't.
I mean, those are decisions that you have to make. You know, it takes a really, really long time to grow an old friend.
I agree.
And there are things that friends of mine have said or done that have upset me. And you kind of just, figure, is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe, but I'm looking at the two of you, and you both appear to be in such pain. And this is your business. I'm just going to rule on what's in front of me. But you have a life, and you have a life. And we only have borrowed time on this earth. And I just want to urge both of you, as someone who has lived longer and probably seen more, that maybe you reconsider whether you want to completely trash a 20-year friendship. Mr. Dell, she says you never apologized. Is that true or not true?
I did in text messages, which is kind of terrible.
Have you ever had a chance to apologize in person?
No,
And
because
if not, you're in
Made an
person
attempt.
now. Is there anything you want to say now?
of course, same. I'm deeply sorry, and I want you to know that.
Okay. How about you, Miss Crecilius, while we're at it? Keeping $2,378 that belongs to him because you're complaining about what he took from you. Is there anything you feel that you need to apologize for?
I am sorry I kept it. I'm sorry that I've had the checks on my desk since July 7th. And I'll put them in the mail today to the last known address I have for you.
Well, before you put them in the mail, I want you two to hold them. My staff is going to make sure it gets from point A to point B. Okay?
Okay.
As for the pressure washer, the attachment, the ladder, the dryer lint cleaner, those things, we're going to make arrangements for them to be transferred. As for the power tool set, I don't believe he needs to buy you a new power tool set if your power tool set just died its natural death. That's not from anything that he did. As for the kayak, I am ordering him to pay you $150, which is probably the depreciated value of a kayak. Mr. Dell, what are these things that you introduced into evidence about a cat surrender and a dog surrender? What does that have to do with us?
Because of the whole check holdings, I was unable to pay rent, and this led to an eviction, and I had to surrender all my pets, and now I live in my car.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And
You paid for a boat during that time. You haven't paid rent in 7 months. You trashed our house and left all the pets. I talked to your property owner yesterday because, you know what?
That's not
She's
true.
one of my clients.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
Stephen, you're a shyster.
Oh, that's going a long way towards healing fences. I don't know whether he's hamming it up for the camera or for me to feel bad or for you to feel bad. I don't know what's happening. You apparently think he's just hamming it up. But do you think you did no damage by keeping his paycheck? You can't possibly think that, right?
No, ma'am. And I told him from
That was a
July 7th
rhetorical
on.
question. I do not want to hear another word from you. Do not talk again. I'm going to do the math. Return the pressure washer. We're going to make the arrangements. Return the attachment. Return the ladder. She does not get to have her power tool set repurchased for her. Return the dryer lint cleaner. Pay her the $150 that you got for the kayak. And I am not going to order you to pay $500 for speaking your mind. It ended up costing you a hell of a lot more than that. As for the countersuit, I am going to order you to turn over, and we are going to make arrangements to have those turned over, the $2,378 in those checks. But I am also going to order you to personally pay interest from the date that those checks were issued, plus court costs. I am not going to award pain and suffering. This is not a pain and suffering case, even though there is no doubt in my mind that there has been a lot of pain and suffering. It is not a compensable pain and suffering case. It is a bunch of people not knowing how to act decently. That's what it is. Good luck to you.
Let's talk first to Ms. Crecelius and see what she thinks about what the judge just ordered. What are you thinking, ma'am?
I think it was unfair. I think that Stephen had plenty of time to come and deliver my property. I even offered to pick up my property, but instead he chose to ruin a really good friendship and a business working relationship because he can't shut his mouth when talking negative about people. He likes to be in the drama, but whatever.
What about the friendship, which the judge focused a lot on?
It's done.
Is that repairable or not?
No, not at all.
All right. Stephen, let me ask you, how about your situation? How do you feel about the outcome of this?
I hate the fact that I'm going to lose a friendship, but at the same time, I'm not going to sugarcoat how she operates her business. And, you know, I've made a lot of relationships through her, and she's lost a lot of her own on her own. And I'm just not going to lie. I'm just going to tell the truth the way it is. It's just tragic, the whole thing.
Well, the case is over now, and the judge made her decision, and I'm sure you're appreciative of that. Let's see what the judges have to say now. A lot to talk about on this case.
There's an old Yiddish saying that a fool is his own informer. And for him to be talking like about his client and trashing, you know, his blue chip client who's paying him big money apparently, and is the money tree for him, was just, it's hard to understand.
Yeah, it's just complicated when you do
careless.
business with friends, because you think you can, you speak your mind, and he just kept saying, unfortunately, it got back to her. Well, it only can get back to her if you said it, so.
Oh yeah, it was just really incredible that they couldn't bridge the gap and come together and just talk this through.
And they don't have to be friends, but they could, maybe they could just give back the property and give
the hostages.
Release the hostages mutually at a mutually agreed upon site.
But
It's
how
insanity.
about just as a general practice, don't trash the people you're working with like that. I mean, come on, we see salespeople, service people, tradesmen who are really successful, and they don't have to be the best at what they do, but what they are is they're nice. They're nice people. You can trust them. They're not going to trash you behind your back, and you know that goes a long way.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. You know, when he says, "Oh, I'm just going to be honest." Well, sometimes you know you can just not talk.
Right. Yeah, bite your tongue.
You can just not talk, and then maybe it doesn't get this far.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Catherine wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, with COVID going around, stores are starting to require payment with credit cards only or exact change, even asking customers to round up their total so they don't have to give back change. Is this legal? Well, look, a store can charge you whatever it wants. If a store wants to mark something up, they can legally mark something up. So in a situation like this, if they say we are going to round up because of COVID, honestly, I would be shocked if a judge would call that store owner on the carpet. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case inside the courtroom.
This is the plaintiff, Tomiko Cave. She says she hired the defendant to provide a bouncy castle for her 7-year-old's birthday party. And the guy didn't get the proper permits, and her daughter's birthday party was ruined. She wants her money back. The defendant refuses, and she's suing him for the $1,505 she's definitely owed. This is the defendant, Peter Salyer. He says the plaintiff hired him to provide a bouncy castle, and he assumed she got the proper permits to do just that. When the cops shut the party down, he was as surprised as anyone. Bottom line, he provided a service and owes no refund. He's accused of a big-time party poop-out.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says she hired the defendant to provide a bouncy castle for her daughter's outdoor party, but says that the guy didn't get a permit and the party was shut down. The defendant says he just provided the bouncy castle. Permits are the plaintiff's deal. It's the case of bouncing your way into court.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Ms. Cave, how are you today?
I'm finding yourself.
Very good, thank you. So talk to me. I threw many of these bouncy house parties with 3 kids, so I know the effort that goes into doing something for children like that. And I'm sorry that things went so wrong, but talk to me and tell me what happened.
Well, when I called him up, I told him that I wanted to do a party for my daughter because all the kids been in the house since March. And I told him I would like to have a bouncy house, a cotton candy machine, a popcorn machine, and a slushy machine, and a clown. He said, okay. He never mentioned a permit. I don't know. I don't own the company about a permit. I never knew. So he came, he set up the bouncy house. I paid him the money and he left. I was running around getting the balloons and stuff. I was getting phone call from friends saying that the parks department was there saying that I was not allowed to have a generator at the park.
Had you checked with park authorities about, I mean, in other words, what gave you the right to even have a party there? Had you checked with them and told them you wanted to have a party there and gotten the consent and everything? Or you just thought that because it was a public park, you could do whatever?
Exactly, yes. And when I called him up, he was saying that he can do it. He could supply everything for me. So I had no clue that you needed this. When I went to the precinct said that he should have known and told me you needed a permit for him to have these things. He never mentioned a permit to me.
Okay. So what happens?
So the Parks Department wind up giving me a ticket. And the
No,
kids
no,
were
back it up, back it up. You get it, wait, back it up. So you get a phone call because other relatives tell you that the Parks Department is saying you can't have a generator here. That happens during the party or before the party?
during the party.
Why are you running around getting balloons during the party? I thought you said at the time that
Because
happened, you were running around getting balloons.
listen,
Absolutely.
Okay, I need you to stop.
it
I
was.
need you to stop bobbleheading. Okay.
I'm sorry, Your
Please
Honor.
stop nodding because it's distracting to me. Thank you. Go ahead, Miss Cave. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. The party had started. He came, he set up. Kids were starting to come. I had to go and pick up the balloons. The party was started. People started to come. I had to go
I
pick
know,
up balloons
that's kinda
because I was
stressful.
running around all morning.
Oh my gosh. All right. So you're running around picking up balloons. Your relatives tell you, Park said you have to close down what? Just anything with a generator? What about the fact that you
which
were having
meant-
a party?
No, that wasn't the problem. He said you
Okay.
needed a permit to have a generator. That meant everything had to be shut down. The reason why the party was delayed.
Why
I was running
everything?
around
What
the
had to
last
be
minute.
shut? Hold on. Yeah, I know you're running around the last minute unprepared, but that's not my question. What happened? The only thing with a generator was a bouncy house, right?
No, everything was ran by the generator.
Oh, what else? Oh, you're
The
right.
cotton
So
candy machine,
the
the
cotton
slushy
candy machine. That's right.
The slushy machine.
So there were no plugs at the park?
popcorn
There was no electricity at the park that you could hook up to?
No, it was only the generator. When I
right,
called him,
all right,
I
so-
told him what I wanted, and he said
Yeah, I know.
yes,
And you feel it's his fault. You feel that he, as the expert or the business, should know where you can and can't set up, or where he can and can't set up, depending on whose perspective we're talking about. Let me hear from you, Mr. Salyer. You've owned this. Are you the owner of the company?
Yes, I am.
How long have you owned the company?
15 years.
15 years. And have you ever done parties at that particular park before?
Not that particular park, but I have done parties and castles and parks before, and they've been just fine.
Right. So what's the deal, though? Because this park closed their party down, which is very disappointing for children who are
Well,
who
not
have
exactly.
COVID shock
Your Honor.
syndrome.
She's only telling half truth. Okay, we did the clown show, the magic balloons and the face paint. Though she's saying there was a problem with the generator, they did operate the cotton candy, popcorn, and snow cone because it came back dirty and came back used. So I know that they used it. The castle was up, and this is my perspective of the clown. And the clown told me these facts. The castle was up.
Wait a minute.
the
So you're
park
giving me hearsay from a clown?
Well, this is my witness. My witness
I mean,
was my
yeah,
staff
no. Is he
person.
here?
Yeah.
Is he here?
No.
Is he here to
No.
testify? Okay, then you're
No.
here saying a clown, which my standards are very low, but they're not that. I kind of need to hear. Do you have a statement from him or her?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay.
But
all right.
I took the statement.
I think what happened, and I'm not a fool, Miss Cave. After the authorities came and told you you have to shut this down, what did you do?
Well, we had to stop. We had to shut everything down. They gave us a ticket. They called me and told me that
I saw the ticket, honey. I know what you did. Miss Cave, listen to me.
Because the
I
Parks
read the
Department
ticket,
was-
and the ticket said this. First, we came to her and we gave her a warning. And then we got word that she turned everything back on. So then we came back out and we gave her a ticket. Then you never showed up for the hearing. And then so the amount they assessed against you was like 50% more than they would have if you'd shown up for the hearing.
Okay, listen,
So
it was
turned
so,
it back on. Listen, no, you listen.
no.
So you turned it back on after they left and told you not to, right?
No, I was not at the party. I was at the precinct. Someone from the party turned it back on, and I told them to cut it off until I got there. By the time I got there, it was down. So I don't know
Did you
how long
miss
it was
the
up
entire
again.
party? You weren't at your kid's
No,
party at all the whole time.
no, I was.
Damn.
I was. When I got there, the police officer was actually giving one of my guests the ticket, and when I walked up, the ranger was there giving a ticket to one of my guests, and I took his ID and gave it back to him, and I gave them my ID. So
Yeah.
that's what happened. But I wasn't the
So
one
the
that turned
question
back on
is, but it is what happened. Your party, someone at your party, which I have a very difficult time thinking wasn't at your direction, but either way, someone at your party got fined because they didn't listen the first time. And you're suing him to pay the fine when the fine only happened because someone at your party didn't listen the first time when they were willing to just let it go with a nice peaceful warning. So there is no planet where I would make him pay the fine because the fine is the fault of someone at your party, either under your direction or not. Now what I'd like to know, Mr. Salyer, her perspective is, hey, I'm just a customer. He's the party guy. He's the one who should know. So let me hear from you.
In my business, ma'am, the client always gets permits. If they have to get a block party, where are they going? They're going to the mayor's office to get a permit. That is on their end. I've done hundreds of block parties. The client always gets a permit. We are never in charge of their party. We are a third party. We come to their party. Their permits have to be done. When I got there, she was running around crazy. Oh, we got to go to the precinct. We got to get a permit. This and that. She was hot. Dude, she was definitely stressed.
I never said that. I never said that. I never
hold on.
mentioned
I didn't interrupt you.
Hold on. No, Miss Cave. Miss Cave, you can't. Yeah, you did actually.
Yes.
I had to tell you to stop it. But please don't interrupt. Go ahead, Mr. Salyer.
Thank you. Thank you. So basically, the client always, in my business, and you can check with other companies, they get the permits, never us. Okay. I give you a certificate of insurance. That's what we provide, the DCA. You know, we give you those, but never the permits. They have to get their own permits. So, yes, I mean, castles are allowed in parks. You know, sometimes it's a catch-22. Sometimes it's trial and error. You know, am I going to know every park that allows this? No, I don't. I think I do now through some trial and error. But really, if I
Did the subject ever come up? Like, did you ever, when she was telling you, I want to throw a party, did you ever tell her you better find out if you need a permit?
No, unfortunately, I didn't.
I don't know whether, you know, your feeling is, hey, that's on them, so what? But, because I'd rather have the business, I don't know. But it would it would have made
it.
Yeah. No, I know, but wouldn't it make the part, all these little kids shut in for all those months, so sad because they couldn't have their, you understand what I'm saying? Like, wouldn't it just be better juju in the world if from now on you told people who called you, listen, or even just your contract. If your contract said it, we are not responsible for getting anybody. You better find out what it. Then the parent would sit back, and the client would sit back and say, well, I better get my ducks in a row. Because I agree with you, her ducks were not in a row. I also believe that you were, not believe, I know you were 100% correct. Ms. Cave, I'm so sorry that this happened to you, but it's not his job to plan your party. It's your job.
Yep.
If you had decided to have that party at your cousin JoJo's house, and JoJo lives in an apartment complex, and you decide to have the party there, who do you think is going to go to the board to find out and get permission? You think he's going to go to JoJo's apartment complex to get permission? That's not how it works. The person who's throwing the party has to make sure they can throw the party there. You're in charge of the party. He is not in charge of the party. He is in charge of one thing, providing what you ask for. It's really your job to figure out whether you can set up a party in a public park. It should have occurred to you that you might have to check into that. So this is not, I'm sorry that you ended up with all these damages, but they are certainly not something that he should absorb. And I am not going to rule in your favor. I am ruling in favor of the defendant in this case, and I wish you all good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the defendant prevails in this case. He does not have to pay back that $1,505 to the plaintiff. Let's talk to the plaintiff now, Ms. Cave. How do you feel about the judge's verdict? I know you're disappointed, obviously.
I didn't know anything about giving a party. I felt like he should have told me about the permit, but.
Was the party a total bust from your perspective?
Yes.
Well, you learn things the hard way, and this is one of those in your situation. I'm sorry for you, but you don't get to prevail in this case. So next time you have a party, you're going to check it out first, right? I'm sure of that. Okay. All right, Mr. Salyer, let me ask you, have you ever experienced this before, been brought into a lawsuit because of a situation like that?
No. When people, New Yorkers, when they have a problem, they come to me, this is my problem. And we tried to make a effort to help them. I gave them a solution. I said, let me pay you $200 back as a discount. I offered that to them. And I had no idea what the fine was. It could have been $5, could have been $1,000. I didn't know. She wouldn't show me. I said, but let me give you $200 back. And because I want you to be happy. I want my customers to be happy. And she said, no, I think I deserve more. I think you should pay for everything. And I'm sorry, that's not the justice system. She didn't get her permits. She didn't do her investigation or her research, but she wants to blame other people.
All right. I think the judge had a good suggestion that at least you ask folks when, they're hiring you.
Yes,
to
absolutely.
The permit. That'd be a good help for them. All right. Well, congratulations.
Absolutely.
You're in the right. Let's see what the judges have to say about it.
You're a veteran.
How many bounce houses did you and I?
We'd have saved money if we just bought one.
We should have bought a bounce house with 3 kids and
oh my goodness. But you can't expect somebody who's renting this type of equipment to get out there ahead of the game and think of all the potential obstacles there could be. Do they have landlord permission? Do you have homeowner association permission? Do you have city permits? Do you have county permits? Is there a state permit?
No,
is there a national
That's
park
the party.
permit?
That is definitely
the
the party.
EPA involved? It's like there's just no end to it. And when you go to a park, people are in the park.
It's a park. It's everybody's park. It's not your park.
Things.
I mean,
right.
I feel bad for her because she really didn't know, but it's just not true that it's a total bust because children. You can entertain a child with bubbles. They're just so happy to get out there because they've been closed in for so long. They're just so happy. There was a clown. The clown was painting people. So she may say that for our benefit, but I hope in her heart and I hope in the kids' heart that it wasn't a total bust. But it's really on her.
And this case came from the Bronx, where park space is at a premium. When you're in an area where it's densely populated, generators make a lot of noise. They probably have a lot of rules and regulations about that stuff. It's not like.
How many bounce houses did you bounce in?
Oh,
Was there ever a time that we rented a bounce house where you and I weren't bouncing for
no. I always got in there.
The full last hour?
I knocked those little kids all over the place. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Kat wants to know this. Hey, Harvey. If my landlord wants to install new carpet and we're uncomfortable with the installer coming in during COVID, do we have to let them in? Well, that's a good question. I think that has not been tested yet. My gut here is work with your landlord, explain the problem. Everybody's in the same boat. See you next time.